roommate is about a woman of a certain age who is living in a house in Iowa, and she invites a female roommate to come live with her. And her life has been very prescribed. Her world's been pretty small. And this roommate comes in and sort of blows all the doors open. It's a comedy. It's a dark comedy. There's a lot she doesn't know about the person who she's brought into her home, but also there's a lot she doesn't know about herself and what she is capable of and what she wishes for in her life. And so to me, The Roommate, though of course it's a dark comedy about two people encountering each other and encountering their differences and their unexpected similarities, it's also sort of a story about how we keep discovering who we are and what we need as we age, and how vital and powerful and dangerous it is, in a good way, to listen to our instincts instead of listening to the voices that are telling us societally and culturally what we should be and how we should age. So I wrote the play 10 years ago. I was part of its premiere. I was part of the second production at Williamstown. The premiere was at Humana. And then it went on to have a life around the country. And I mostly was not a participant in that. When Felicia Rashad did it at Steppenwolf, she had me come in for previews, and she wanted to chat about it. But in general, I wasn't part of that process. And the play kind of went on to do its own thing, which was great. So I haven't engaged with it since 2017. And part of the real pleasure for me is that this is a different moment in time. I mean, in so many ways, politically, emotionally, in my own life, in terms of like my parents, in terms of, we went through many years of pandemic, which we're still in, and the isolation that we all experienced, I think, in 2020, many of us, 2021, the loneliness. I mean, I had people talking to me about the play in a different way because suddenly they were living in big old houses by themselves, many of them in the Midwest. I came out of that with this renewed interest in the conversation the play is having about loneliness and intimacy and connection, and the ability to sort of dig into those things with Jack, with Mia, with Patti, with our producer, Chris Harper, who the first conversation we had, it was clear to me he understood it in a cellular way. It was the kind of first conversation about a play that one doesn't usually have. So it feels to me like an incredible opportunity to return to something I know well, but from a place that, of course, I've never been before, with collaborators that are bringing to it something that feels absolutely new. And this moment feels new. She's a legend. No, the thing that surprises me, or when when we first sat down to read the play at Jack's living room table, what surprised me, though perhaps it shouldn't have, is how generous and gracious Mia and Patti both are. To be performers of that stature, to be legends and icons, and to sit down with the humility and curiosity and focus of working artists. You rarely see that. They wanted to talk about comma placement. They wanted to talk about rhythm. They wanted to talk about specific word choice. They had questions. They had some requests. But right away, what it felt like was a group of artists at a living room table talking about a play and bringing different perspectives to it. And that is my wildest dream, to be in any process with any collaborators, and especially those. The very early seeds of the story came to me, my partner's mother, who at that time I had not yet met. My partner and I have now been together for over a decade, and we had just met at that point. And his mother was living in a big house in the Midwest. She had just taken a female roommate. I was thrilled at the possibilities. This woman was very different from her in many, many ways. And some of the stories that I was hearing, they were sort of trying to navigate, what does that difference mean? And also, what does it mean to take a roommate at that point in your life when you've been living alone for a long time, if you haven't been living with your family? And then her roommate vanished mysteriously. So of course, I was spinning all of these theories. I had all these ideas about what happened. What actually happened was fairly banal and extremely boring. But so I wrote the play and revealed to my partner in an aisle at Whole Foods that I was writing a play that wasn't about his mother, but it was adjacent to his mother, and he took that news very well. And then the play premiered at Humana, and his mom flew out to see it, and that was the first time I'd met her. I do not recommend this to anyone as a way to meet your future mother-in-law. Luckily, she has a great sense of humor. She's an avid reader, an avid consumer of media and narrative. And she was delighted by the whole thing, which was the best possible outcome. Oh, they have so much chemistry. I mean, they like each other. They find each other funny and charming, as I find them both. They have inside jokes. They have history. On breaks, they're chatting about people they know. They chat about politics. It's just when you don't have to go through the process of actors generating chemistry. And actors are very good at generating chemistry. I've worked with actors who could generate chemistry with a rock. So, that's a skill that they have. But watching two people who come in with that texture and fabric of history and then just fall into navigating what it means in this context, there's an alchemy there that's kind of thrilling to witness. I mean, I feel like it's dangerous to answer that question either way. More and more as I make theater and TV and film, it is very clear to me that people take away what they need. If something spoke to them, they take away what they need. And if they don't, they don't. For me, the conversation I need to have with the play and with my life is about how, as we grow older, we do not close down our avenues of possibility, but we keep opening them. We keep saying yes. We keep saying, who are you? And what next? And who am I? And what might I be? And something that has been both artistically and that also sort of tremendously personally valuable in this process is talking to Jack, who has lived a breadth of life that exceeds mine and is the most curious person I've ever met. Jack is constantly saying, well, what is that? What does that mean? What does that do? What if you did this? What if I read this? We're talking about books all the time. We talk about movies. He is someone who, he's busier than I am. He is the most energetic human I've ever met. You know what I mean? There is no version in Jack's mind, I don't think, in which getting older means that the walls close in. I mean, he's talked about that openly. For me, this play is about how often we look at, as a society, we look at older women in particular, and we say okay, you're done, which is crazy. It is a crazy thing to do to a group of people. And so I hope that for many audiences, the play opens a door to possibility, and it does it in a cheeky, irreverent way. It does it with a wink, but it's genuinely asking what more is possible for every single person in that audience, male or female of any age. What more is possible? And that's something I'm asking myself as well.